You made it to chapter 20. And for those of you who have been following along, we just finished chapter 19, which was called Pity Party. And now we're at chapter 20. A rat sneaks in. Wait, for those of you who've just joined in, you've missed a lot. Too bad. No, just kidding. I'll catch you up. So we're on the nurseann.com audiobook and podcast of the published short story fiction, The Mental Files. And we're in book 1, Sheep Among Wolves. And let me tell you about this. It's what makes it the audiobook is this. I'm going to read you chapter by chapter. And then what makes it a podcast is I break it apart after as it relates to our own life drama and inner thought struggles. And then we get some helps, a biblical prescription, and just some navigation for life journey and helping others. So we're going to jump into chapter 20. And as I said, if you missed it, you can follow back on the other podcasts. Also, there's a link on my website. I put all 6 stories in one book called The Mental Files First 6 Stories Edition. And why am I doing it live today instead of just behind the picture of the book? Well, I had a shower today, so I thought it'd be okay. No, just kidding. Well, I did have a shower, but I just decided to do the audiobook and podcast live today. So let's jump into what you came for. Chapter 20. If you haven't been following along, I'm a nurse of 30 years and still going in the front lines of mental health and emergency. So even though it might not be legit because I don't have headphones or a big fancy microphone, we've got these fake Hollywood studio lights. So that's going to have to do. Plus my nursing of 30 years, I'm going to bring you some adventure, action, advocacy, and awareness for those going through struggles. We have mental health awareness and so much more. And in this book, you met the young lady, Julie. She was kind of trapped on the street on her own and falling prey to her so-called boyfriend, Carlos, that she met at the bus stop. He's trying to lure her back into his life while the frontline workers and nurses are trying to get her to a safer and better life. And things have started falling apart. That's why the nurses and the frontline workers in the last chapter were having that pity party. So now, Chapter 20, a rat sneaks in, and you'll just have to go back and watch the other podcasts or get the series to catch up. So, Chapter 20. With Julie's mind starting to clear over the last few days of her hospitalization, she started to realize that Nurse Angela was giving her the best advice about her future. The young lady even started to believe that the doctors and nurses that she actually was pregnant. As she started to think about the safe girls' home that the caseworker, Lita, had found for her, she started to daydream about a better life. Remember, Julie never really had a good life up until now. Maybe I'll even have some friends there, she hopefully wished, and I bet it will be clean and safe, and I won't have to beg for food anymore. But what about my boyfriend, she wondered. Then she remembered what the caring psych nurse had told her. The nurse had gently warned her about Carlos and encouraged her to choose the place of safety instead of being taken advantage of. Having been through trauma and abuse her whole life, Julie thought, this might actually be something great. Her daydream came to an abrupt end when the evening staff told her she had a visitor on the unit. Peering out of her door, she saw that it was Carlos. Confused and feeling a little intimidated by his persuasive insistence, she wasn't really sure what to say or do. Should I pretend I'm asleep, she wondered. Her question was soon answered for her when Carlos noticed her standing by the door. Hey, beautiful, come on out here, I miss you. Let me give you a hug, he said to the vulnerable young lady. Never having learned the art of saying no, Julie dutifully went and sat down next to her visitor. Being street smart and dealing with a lot of different women in her type of situation, Carlos sensed something was different about her today. Worried about losing the young lady, an easy manipulated girl, he amped up his persuasion. Hey, Julie, I hope you're not thinking about that girl's home anymore. You know they probably fight all the time and will steal your clothes, be mean to you. Nobody would take care of you like I would, schmoozed the lying rat. Carlos but the nurse said it would be really good for me and the baby. Maybe I could just go there for a little while and see what happens, whimpered the weak-minded Julie. Getting frustrated with her disagreement and the meddling nurse, he decided to put his devious plan B into motion. I'm sure not going to hang out at this hospital all night, he told himself. Okay, sweetie, we can talk about that more. But let me get you something to drink. You look thirsty. Gotta take care of that little one, offered the deceiver. Getting a glass of juice for her at the desk, Carlos emptied the contents of the crushed up drug he had brought and stirred it in the juice when she wasn't looking. Piece of cake, he smugly thought. I don't have time to deal with this nonsense. As the fast-acting drug started to loosen up Julie, Carlos decided to kick his ultimate plan into high gear. Not wanting the slow-thinking girl to blow his cover or make a scene, he decided to trick her into following his master scheme. Hey, Julie, baby, I already talked to the staff and they said it was okay if we took a walk outside. Really? Julie answered excitedly, even as the tainted juice started to make her feel a little woozy. But they said I wasn't allowed to go outside yet, she wondered aloud. It's okay, I promise. I talked to them for you because I care about you. So just walk over here to the door with me and I'll take it from here. You know, I know how to make things work, darling, tricked the evil predator. Okay, if you say so, Carlos, slurred the sleepy girl. That's right, that's a good girl, he said as he guided her toward the front door. Pretending like he was giving her a hug goodbye, he waved at the secretary to let him out. Hearing the door open for him, he stuck his foot in and pretended to go out by himself. Glancing around and making sure the staff had their heads down on their computers, he pulled and tugged at Julie until she was out the front door. Shouldn't I tell them when I'll be back? She asked. Quiet, you're making too much noise, he warned. But I thought you said it was okay, replied the pregnant patient. It is, but I just want this to be a special moment. I don't want any of the other patients trying to come out with us. Come on, girl. We got to go down the stairs before they all try to follow us, conned the so-called boyfriend. Confused and dazed, Julie quickly followed Carlos down the steps until they were out the door and in his car. Wow, I didn't know I could get in your car. Where are we going? She asked as he started up the engine. Oh, girl, I've got great plans for you, Carlos exclaimed as he took her to his place of street business on a different side of town. That's the end of chapter 20. Chapter 21 is encourage one another. In the mental files, book 1 is sheep among wolves. Where you met Julie, she is being conned and tricked, but she's had a life of trauma and abuse, and she hasn't had a lot of mentor or people looking out for her. So we're going to find out if she's going to fall into the evil predator's schemes, or if the frontline workers and nurses and caseworker and officer can help her be safe and find a better life. So you can tune in next time, next podcast and audiobook. Now, as promised, we're going to break that apart as it relates to real life. So we may know people in our life. Maybe we're a work at a job where we take care of others, or just in our family, maybe people that have been through trauma and abuse and we want to help. It could even be ourselves that we've been through things, and sometimes we don't always think things through clearly. So it's good to have people that care in our lives, maybe people that can slow down and notice others that are hurting. And we're going to check out my devotional, Word Puzzles Devotional, and we're going to find out something that relates to this topic of helping and mentoring other. What is Word Puzzles Devotional? It's interesting words linked to everyday life and inner thought struggles, and paired along with relevant biblical prescriptions so you can get your dose of wisdom and inspiration, helping us to overcome and thrive, hope and new light for your life journey, medicine for your soul. Once again, I'm a nurse of 30 years and still going, and have this adventure, action, advocacy, and awareness for you. So today's Word Puzzles Devotional is from the letter Y. This is in an A to Z format, not trying to sound like Sesame Street. But Y, the word today is yield, and it means, in short form, it means produce, provide, and returns. So what will be the yield from the investment of your life, your legacy, along with maybe leaving money, land, and other material items? My fancy studio lights here. Have you considered if your example will be continued? If so, will it yield a blessing for someone else? if they practice what you preached and modeled. Now is the time to continue the efforts. And Titus 2 gives us an excellent model to strive for in our mentoring efforts. Role models worth emulating show integrity, sound speech, self-control, kindness, seriousness, and are worthy of respect. Even younger people are encouraged to go for this lifestyle in 1 Timothy 4:12. If they choose to live with excellent speech, conduct, purity, faith, and love, their example will prove them worthy of honor in spite of their youth. So no matter what your age, you can go for these examples and help mentor others. And Matthew 5:16 serves as a reminder for us all of all ages to shine that light in all that you do, hoping that others will witness our character and deeds and acknowledge the glory belongs to the Father we serve. Leave that wonderful legacy. It's not too late to make an impact for your loved ones, for the kingdom. This devotional is also available. There's a link on my website, and there's one more devotional. Let me find it for you. Where is it? Here it is. It's by Nurse Ann also. That's me. And it's Energize Health, Body, Mind, and Spirit, a Christian lifestyle devotional. And in here we talk about the mind and even the spirit. It just talks about slowing down. I read a couple books. One was An Unhurried Life, following, I think, the Rhythms and Rest of Jesus by Alan Fadley. And he talked about living that unhurried life is not being lazy. It's actually focused, having that purposeful life, in slowing down, taking that time to pray, and that time to notice others as we go about our day, just like Jesus did. Because when we notice people that are hurting, we have more time to be able to offer help, whether it's just listening, eye contact, a compliment, whatever it is you're able to do. Just like that Good Samaritan, he actually stopped and helped that hurting person, even when everybody else walked by. So that's Energize Health, Body, Mind, and Spirit by Nurse Ann. Once again, me. So I hope you enjoy the audiobook and podcast. As I said, this is a 6-part fictional drama series. It's mental health meets Christian fiction. You're going to join the frontline workers as they battle these forces of darkness, seen and unseen, and these shifts are 24/7. So you will have to buckle up for this compelling ride filled with suspense, danger, action, romance, faith, and inspiration. And once again, it's adventure, action, advocacy, and awareness that you can be a part of. So that's the nurseann.com podcast and audiobook on my website. There's more inspirational wellness for you and others to share. There's also the podcast tab where you can hear all of those stories and other inspirational messages. There is a word puzzles tab. There is a mental wellness tab, biblical prescriptions tab. There's a tab about freedom and helping others caught up in difficult and dangerous life situations. What else? There's a healthy eating tab. There's a nurses station tab where I give you health tips. As I said, being a nurse of 30 years and still going. There's a tab called Life Improv. You're going to enjoy that. It's very creative. There's a Kid at Heart tab, a Heart Book tab. I can't remember all the tabs right now, but you'll have to check it out on nurseann.com and tune in for the next podcast and audiobook reading in my fake Hollywood studio. No, I don't have the fancy equipment, but I hope that you could hear me well and get the point. See you on the next podcast. Have a good day.